I was winning pretty good. And in the beginning, it was like win 20,000 to 50,000, and that was pretty tight. I was like, I don't need this money. They give me everything for free now, comped, and I like made 20 to 50 bands this weekend, no doubt.
Right.
Then I was like, let me play a little bigger, and then I was winning like 100, 200, 300,000 in those couple of days, and I said, I think I'm onto something here, and I was doing it like every week, kind of. And I was like, I'm kind of onto something. And I said, this is becoming so much money now that I'm risking and rewarding that I should really pay attention to what I got going on here. I said, I always knew that I was like maybe above average player, but this is enough money where I really should focus.
And your game's Baccarat?
So my number one game is Baccarat, but it used to be blackjack, and more specifically double deck blackjack.
And you were counting cards?
Not counting cards.
Is that like extremely hard to pull off these days, I hear?
It's not impossible to do, and people do it, and they usually always are caught doing it. I mean, the security systems and the skill checks in casinos are so above and beyond that countries' governments actually contract to casino security to hire them to do national security. I mean, that's how advanced a lot of them are.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm not counting cards. I am really good at math, and I am really an emotionally sound guy in such regard. I do have discipline in that. So I think I'm able to make clear-headed decisions when a lot of other players can't because they're getting emotional, as well as they make silly decisions and like convince themselves that they have a feeling about something. But let me tell you right now, feelings have no regard to math.
Right. But I'm also like hearing you were talking about like how your coach, your gambling coach, advises you. And I'm listening to you talk about it. This was at the poker game the other day, and you're basically kind of saying like, he'll instruct me on like, okay, when I'm feeling good or if I'm in the right state of mind to get, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm sitting there thinking, and I don't know anything about Baccarat, but I'm thinking, these are all just casino games. The house always has an edge. No matter what kind of pattern you bet in, et cetera, it doesn't really matter because they always have the edge. And if you just keep playing in the long term, you're always going to lose. I don't know. Like, what do you say? I'm sure you've had plenty of people say that too.
I'm super stoked you just said that. So I'm going to be the end-all, be-all of that doubt that everybody in the world gives me.
Okay.
If that was true, then why am I banned from the city of Las Vegas gaming?
I mean, yes, to me, that is the greatest testament to you being something special at gambling is that they would be willing to ban you. Because I know they ban very few sports gamblers, for instance, but they do ban some sports gamblers that they really feel like have a real edge.
So there's been 4 Baccarat players in history to be banned from the game Baccarat. 2 out of the 4 were accused, possibly caught doing what the casinos refer to as cheating, right? My opinion on it is not relevant, but again, I'd love to see the casinos burn. So if it was up to me as a gambler, I would love to see those 2 Baccarat players continue playing, right?
Right.
So that out of the 4 of us, there's no like scale that says who's the best, who's the worst, who's most skilled, blah, blah, blah. There's just been 4 in history that have been banned. 2 of them were partners in something and they got banned. They can't play. The third guy, I honestly don't know who he is. I was given his name. I never really looked into him, and I don't know his story. And then there's me. So out of the 4 of us to ever be banned, and I'm not cheating, and if I was cheating, they definitely would have caught me by now, then I must be doing something the casinos thought was impossible. And, I mean, there's the testimony. I mean, I can't play anymore.
Do you not want to speak openly about what your edge is in these games?
So I can't do that, and I'll tell you why, right? So I do have a plan that could bring every casino to their knees. And I may pull the trigger on this and watch these casinos burn. I might do that. It's something I've been working on for about a year now. And I don't want to say how far or short I am to the ability of pulling the trigger, but I may do that, and I believe it's going to absolutely crush these casinos. I think some of them are going to go out of business.
You're talking about like a lawsuit, not just taking a bunch of money from them?
I don't even want to say what it is, and no way do I want to prepare them. So the casino has a lot of moles and a lot of snakes. They make fake Instagram accounts, fake TikToks. They send like hot girls to my parties. They're watching this podcast, no doubt. So here's to you guys. No, they do all these things for sure, and they're scrutinizing every word I say to see what's happening next, right? So I'm not going to say what it is, but for sure I have the capability of bringing a lot of these casinos to their knees if I ever chose to do so.
Right.
But what my actual edge is, I can't say, and the reason for that is, aside from possibly a plan that could exist, is if I were to sell what my exact edge is, right, the amount of money that I have amassed in the game Baccarat is like tens of millions, right? And if I were to sell it first of all, what happened is as soon as they possibly could, the casinos would change
Right.
their ability to give me the information I need to figure out how to beat them.
Right.
So even if right now, like even privately, if I told you what I did, which respectfully I wouldn't, but let's say I did off the air, as soon as they knew that you knew that, it's done. They're going to adjust the way the game Baccarat is handled, right? So I really have one shot at it, and the amount of money that I would put the evaluation at for my algorithm, it would be roughly $50 million. So for someone to pay me $50 million probably is not going to happen. And the guys that, first of all, most people can't afford that. And the guys that could afford that, they have to first hope I'm telling them the truth. They have to hope that it works. And then for me, I'd have a lot of concern even selling it to them, even if they did come with a check for $50 million, right? Because if they don't do it exactly how I teach them and adjust their emotional self to handle what I'm going to tell them and all these things, if any one thing is wrong, they're going to start losing money.
Right.
And then I'm going to feel like a real dick, like, bro, I just took $50 million from you, and here you are still losing millions and millions and millions playing Baccarat with my strategy.
I mean, there's definitely that back and forth. Like I've had that conversation with pro poker players where I know a bunch of pro poker players who run training sites where they basically, will teach you how to play well. I know some poker players who are equally impressive and they're basically sworn to like a code of never coaching anyone because they feel like the intelligence that they have is so beneficial to them. And if they were to, really bring it out to the people, yes, they could make money in the short term, but in the long term, they'd be kind of fucking over the ecology of the game. But it's weird in poker because the secret of how to play poker optimally is literally like a fucking $500 program that you download on your computer that can tell you how to play every single situation, which is different than what you're talking about, which is shrouded in mystery.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But you've taken a lot of money out of the casinos before you got banned. Was there anything leading up to you getting banned that was dramatic?
Yeah. So the last full session I had, it took a week, and I won 11 million, a little over 11.5 million.
Okay.
It came in 2 checks because they had to break it between 2 casinos. I knew that week might be one of my last weeks having no issues gambling.
You're starting to feel the heat, or you just knew you were winning enough?
Well, so the casinos do crazy things that most people will never experience. So at least, conservatively, 70% of high stakes gambling is politics. Negotiating deals with casinos, and the deals are such a large array of deals to negotiate, right? Terms, what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do, right?
So once you're really gambling a lot of money, you get to start calling the shots with the casino because they want your business so bad?
100%, unless you're winning, right?
Right.
Now, in the very, very beginning, they're like, oh, the guy's just hot. He's lucky.
Anybody can win for a while.
Yeah, exactly. And so in the beginning, they were letting me, I was calling the shots, just as you said. Well, once they saw that I'm winning at an alarming rate statistically, right? And the quantity of money that I'm winning because I'm playing $250,000 per hand in Baccarat and I'm flat betting, right? Which is also unheard of for winners. They're like, he's winning too much, too often. So what do we do now? So they started doing crazy things. They would break into my room and do wild things. They would mess with my food. They would jam my Wi-Fi and internet. They had feds run down to my room one time flipping cushions. I mean, I could write a whole book on stories about crazy things casinos have done to me to throw me off my game. One time I had I think it was 7 million. I think it was 7. I had 7 million on me, and I pulled up in my McLaren, right? And that's my daily driver. And the executives, the VP of the casino, gave me permission that anytime I pull up, I can just self-park right at the front door. Keep my keys. That's it. 'Cause, that's what I wanted. That's what my request was, and they abided. So I do that this particular time. And there was one moment. I'll get on with the story, then you'll see. So I pull up. I got 7 million on me, and I park it myself. The valet guy walks up, gives me my ticket. And I did give him my keys that time, It's no problem. I'm going to go above and beyond and make everybody happy because valet usually doesn't know that I have this rule. So I beeline it. I find the table I want. I sit down. I reserve it, whatever. And now I put the 7 million is sitting if I wanted to reach it, I'd have to bend a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting here. They're getting the cards ready. Everything's being adjusted for my play. And all of a sudden my chair gets pushed into the table, and I'm like wedged between the table, and I'm sitting down. And at this exact moment, I had nobody with me. I didn't have my bodyguards with me. I didn't have friends with me. I didn't have my coach with me. It was like this exact moment. I had $7 million. Now I can't reach it because I can't bend my body. I'm stuck against the table, and nobody's around me. And I can't tell what's happening, right? So all of a sudden I see two other people standing on me, and I can't really see much. So I just flail like almighty heck, right? And I stand up, and I might have even been standing at the chair at this time, and I start screaming. And what happens is it was 3 security guards that pushed my chair and it kind of held me there. And I'm screaming, and I'm thinking if I scream loud enough that everybody that can hear me has to look. So if there's enough eyes on me, it'd be really hard for someone to rob me of $7 million standing in the heart of the casino, right? I'm like, what's happening? What's going on? Da, da, da. The pit boss runs over. I said, bro, what's happening? Da, da, da. And he tells security to back away from me. And now I'm like standing by myself and I have motion. And he starts talking to them. And there's a female there. And she turns to me and she goes, do you drive a green McLaren? And I said, yeah. And she goes, oh, you didn't get your valet ticket and we need your keys. And I said, what? She goes, yeah. You can't do that or we're going to have to ask you to leave our property. And I said, are you out of your mind? I have $7 million sitting right here. What are you talking about? A valet ticket? And I said, oh, you mean a ticket like this? And she goes, oh, okay. And then they just walk off and I never see them again, right? Now, everybody knew I had a ticket. Everybody knew they had my keys. But they also knew that I was coming in with $7 million trying to absolutely break this casino. So they will do anything they can to throw me off and throw me through a loop and just mess with the situation. You know, and that's just one of like countless stories.
And they genuinely don't know what you're doing to do so well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so as these casinos do it, I was watching them ramp up what they were doing to me, as well as offer me less, say no to me more. They stopped giving me private jets, and I'm like, that's weird. They're like, how much money you bringing? Which is a question they never asked me because I'm some of the biggest winners these casinos ever had, so they know how much money I might be bringing.
Right.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I said, I'm going to bring $3 million this week, and they go, oh, that's not enough for a jet. And I said, what? You know? And I just saw through their lies quickly what they were really trying to do is de-incentivize me to walk in their door,
which is very much their right?
Unfortunately, but yeah, but, you know, I watched it happen slowly, and then eventually certain casinos over time would like make up a false reason and say, hey, you did something that was against our rules, so now we have to ban you. And I was like, I didn't do that. And they're like, well, we have reason to believe you did, so you're banned and there's nothing you can do about it. So now if you call, a lot of the casinos are going to say, oh, no, he's not banned because he beat our system. He's banned because he yelled at a dealer or because he made a mess in the villa.
Do you think part of your mistake was that you became more high profile on social media and everything, or would that not really have mattered?
I don't think it would have mattered, but I can tell you this, that casinos have called me as I got more high profile on social media, and sometimes I'll make a post about them and I'll tell everybody, don't go here. Right? Or, hey, I caught this casino cheating and this is how I caught them. And I will get a call like immediately following that saying, hey, can you take that post down? Right? Hey, can you please not say that about us? Hey, this and that. So I think they might even be worried about this massive grasp by hand in the gambling community.